Imagine a person eats plenty of food every day but still feels so tired, weak, breathless, and can't concentrate. Why? The answer may be not to be calories, it may just one tiny mineral, that is the iron. But here is something even more surprising. Your body contains only about 3 to 5 grams of iron, yet without it, oxygen cannot reach your tissues, ATP production falls, immunity weakens, and even your brain starts suffering. So, today we are going to understand iron metabolism in a way you will never forget for your MBBS exams. Before we start, let me tell you why this chapter is so important. Questions from the iron metabolism are among the most frequently asked university exams. You will be asked about iron metabolism, mucosal block theory, ferritin and transferrin, iron deficiency anemia, and hemochromatosis. And these concepts also help you understand the anemia in the medicine. So don't memorize them, understand them. The total iron content in our adult body is 3 to 5 grams. Now here's the interesting question. If iron is so little, where is it all it's stored? Most students think it equally distributed. No. About 70% of total body iron is inside the red blood cells as a part of the hemoglobin. Why? Because the main job of iron is oxygen transport and another 5% present in myoglobin inside the muscles. Think of the myoglobin as a muscle's oxygen storage tank. Whenever muscles need oxygen quickly during exercise, myoglobin supplies it. Memory trick that: 70 hemoglobin, 5 myoglobin. Everything else is stored or used in enzymes. Let's start with the most important function, that is the oxygen transport. Without iron, hemoglobin cannot bind the oxygen. Imagine a delivery truck. Without a driver, the truck exists but nothing gets delivered. Similarly, hemoglobin without iron cannot transport oxygen. This is why iron deficiency causes fatigue and breathlessness. But the oxygen transport isn't the only job. Have you ever wondered how cells actually produce the ATP? Inside the mitochondria are the proteins called cytochromes. These contain the iron. Then they transfer electrons during oxidative phosphorylation. No iron, no electron transport or slows down, and ATP production decreases. That's why the iron deficient patients often complain of tiredness. Iron is a part of cytochrome and then ATP production occurs. Iron is also required for the enzymes inside the neutrophils. One of the most important enzymes is peroxidase enzyme. It helps in neutrophils to kill bacteria after phagocytosis. So iron doesn't just carry oxygen; it also helps your immune system fight infection. Iron is present in many enzymes involved in oxidation reduction reactions. That's why iron deficiency affects multiple organs, not just the blood. So far, remember only 4 functions: hemoglobin, oxygen transport, myoglobin, oxygen storage, cytochrome, ATP production, and peroxidase, bacterial killing. If you remember these 4, you will answer most short notes confidently. Now, let's discuss about the dietary requirement. Now, let's see how much iron we need every day. Adult male needs about 10 milligram per day. Menstruating women require 18 grams per day. And why higher? Because blood loss during menstruation causes iron loss. Because now pregnant and lactating woman requires the 40 grams per day. Because now iron has to support both mother and baby along with increased RBC productions. Students often forget why pregnancy increases iron development. Always write the fetal growth, placenta, and increased maternal RBC mass. If spinach contains iron, why do doctors still recommend liver for severe iron deficiency? Let's understand. Rich sources are the liver, kidney, and heart. These contains heme iron, which is absorbed much better, and good sources: green leafy vegetables, pulses, cereals, fish, apples, dry fruits, and jaggery. These mainly contains non-heme iron, which is less efficiently absorbed in our body. And the poor sources are there: milk, wheat, polished rice, Milk is actually poor source for the iron. This is why infants fed only cow's milk for a long periods may develop the iron deficiency. Now comes on the favorite university exam questions. Where is the iron absorbed? Mainly in the duodenum and upper jejunum. Only about the 10% of dietary iron is absorbed. Students often ask why only 10%? Because excess iron is dangerous. Unlike many minerals, the body cannot actively extract large amounts of iron, so absorption is tightly controlled. Let's discuss about the ferric versus ferrous. Dietary iron mostly exists as a ferric ion means Fe plus 3, and intestinal cells absorb the Fe plus 2 ferrous form much more easily. So before absorption, Fe plus 3 must be converted into Fe plus 2. Who helps this? Vitamin C and reducing agents like cysteine. Think of the vitamin C as the gate opener for the iron absorption. Factors affecting the iron absorption we will discuss about, which increases the iron absorption: vitamin C, acidity of the stomach, alcohol, fructose, and cysteine. And small peptides and amino acids, iron deficiency itself increases the iron absorption by the 2 to 10 times. And low phosphate diet and decreases the iron absorption. Phytates, cereals, and oxalates, leafy vegetables, intestinal malabsorption, and surgical removal of the stomach or the upper intestine. Here is the one memory trick that C acid helps iron come in. Means the vitamin C is helps and acidity also helps, and heme deficiency state means iron deficiency, and I is intact intestine and cysteine. This helps to increase the iron absorption. So today we will learn the all absorption and sources, dietary requirement. Let's understand the mucosal block theory. Let's understand with simple example. Imagine your body is a warehouse. If the warehouse is already full, and will you allow more trucks inside? Of course not. If warehouse is already full, the same thing happens with iron. When body iron stores are low, intestine absorbs more iron. But when iron stores become adequate, intestinal cells reduce iron entry into the blood. This regulation occurs at the level of absorption, not the excretion. The phenomena is called as the mucosal block theory. Remember this sentence for the exam, that iron hemostasis is maintained by regulating absorption, not the excretion. This is what makes the iron metabolism is unique. Now let's follow the one iron atom. Dietary iron enters the mucosal cells mainly as Fe plus 2 iron, and inside the cell it converted into Fe plus 3 by the enzyme peroxidase. Why converted? Because ferric iron can combine with the protein called apoferritin. It is the apoferritin, and together they form the ferritin, and ferritin is the temporary storage form of the iron inside the intestinal cells. If the body doesn't need iron, it remains stored as a ferritin and is eventually lost with the intestinal cells is naturally shed. If the body needs iron, it leaves the mucosal cells and enters the bloodstream. Once iron enters the body blood, can it simply float around freely? No. Free iron is toxic, so body always transport iron safely by binding it to the proteins. Iron leaves the mucosal cells as a Fe plus 2, and then in plasma celluloplasmin, copper containing protein converts Fe plus 2 into Fe plus 3. This is why copper deficiency can indirectly disturb the iron metabolism, and Fe plus 3 now binds to the transferrin proton, and then it transferrin is the transport proton for the iron, and think of the transferrin is a delivery truck carrying iron safely through the bloodstream. One of the transferrin molecule can bind two Fe plus 3 ions. This is another favorite university exam question. And let's discuss what is TIBC. Now students often get confused here. The amount of iron actually present in the blood is not the same as iron carrying capacity. The maximum amount of iron that transferrin can bind is called the total iron binding capacity. Normally, the plasma transferrin can bind about 400 micrograms per dl of iron. And TIBC, here is one memory trick, that the total empty seats on the iron bus. If the many seats are empty, TIBC is high. If the most seats are occupied, TIBC falls. So after the traveling in transferrin, where does iron go? Mainly to the liver, spleen, and the bone marrow. These are the body's iron storehouses. Ferritin is the major storage form of the iron, that is, and it is soluble and easily available whenever the body needs the iron. Remember, the ferritin stores about 25% of the iron, and iron by the weight. Now suppose the body has too much iron, and will it keep it in excess? As a hemosiderin. Hemosiderin is the insoluble form mainly seen in liver and spleen, especially during the iron overload. It contains about 35% of iron by weight. And let's see about the one important sentence. We will justify it. This is the one of the most interesting concept of the iron metabolism. Unlike the sodium or potassium, iron has almost no active excretory pathway. Every day, less than 1 milligram of iron is lost through bile, sweat, hair loss. It is not excreted through urine. That's why we call it one-way substance. Once iron enters the body, it usually stays and recycled. Because of this, repeated blood transfusions can gradually lead to iron overload. That's why iron absorption, not excretion, is the main control point. Let's see next part. In the This is the most common nutritional deficiency, that is the iron deficiency. We will see about the iron deficiency anemia. Before that, see this diagram. In the lumen, food enters with the iron, then in the form of Fe plus 3, then it convert to Fe plus 2, and then Fe plus 2 pass in the mucosal cells of gastrointestinal tract with the apoferritin forms the ferritin. It is the most common storage form of iron. Then Fe plus 2 transferred in the plasma with the protein apotransferrin. The Fe plus 3 with the called as the transferrin, it is the transport form and stored in the liver and bone marrow, muscles, and other tissues. Let's see the iron deficiency anemia. This is the most common nutritional deficiency disorder. But why does this occur? Let's understand the causes one by one. Inadequate intake. If a person doesn't consume enough iron-rich food for a long time, the body's iron stores gradually become empty. Once ferritin stores are exhausted, hemoglobin production start falling. Second one is defective absorption of iron. Even if the diet contains iron, absorption may poor. This happens in diseases causing intestinal malabsorption after stomach or intestinal surgery, or when inhibitors of the iron absorption are present. Third one is the chronic blood loss. This is one of the commonest causes in adults. Examples include bleeding piles, peptic ulcer, hookworm infestations, heavy menstrual bleeding. Every drop of blood lost also means iron is lost. And fourth reason is repeated pregnancies. Pregnancy increases the iron demand for the fetal growth and maternal blood volume. Repeated pregnancies without the adequate supplementation gradually deplete the iron stores. And fifth reason is strict vegetarian diets. And student often ask, the green vegetables contain iron, so why vegetarians still develop iron deficiency? Because plant foods mainly contain non-heme iron, which is the absorbed less efficiency. They are contain phytates and reduce the iron absorption. And one reason is hookworm infections like Voucheria. Next, we will see about the, and always remember, growing children, adolescent girls, pregnant women, and lactating mothers are more prone to the iron deficiency anemia. When hemoglobin decreases, oxygen delivery to tissue falls. As a result, patients develop fatigue, weakness, breathlessness, pallor, poor concentration, loss of appetite, sluggish metabolism, growth retardation in children. And laboratory findings found that the microcytic hypochromic anemia Let's understand the term. Microcytic means the RBC are the smaller than the normal, and the hypochromic means the contain less hemoglobin and therefore appear paler. The treatment is simple in the principle that iron supplementation, folic acid, and vitamin C improve the iron absorption. And most importantly, treat the underlying cause such as hookworm infection or chronic bleeding, and give iron along without the correcting blood loss is the only temporary solution. If the young woman has iron deficiency, think of the menstrual blood loss. If the elderly man develops iron deficiency anemia, always suspect the chronic gastrointestinal bleeding until proven otherwise. Next, we will see the hemosiderosis. What if too much iron accumulates in the body? The first condition is hemosiderosis. It is the less common disorder and iron overload disorder caused by the excessive iron deposition, mainly as a hemosiderin. Hemosiderin. It is commonly seen in patients that is receiving repeated blood transfusions, such as hemophilia patients. And remember why this happens: iron has no effective excretory pathway, hence the body cannot remove it efficiently, so iron accumulates in the tissues. Next, we will see the second condition, that the hemochromatosis. Unlike hemochromatosis, it is this eventually usually a rare inherited disorder, and which is the excessive iron is absorbed from the intestine. The excess iron get deposited in the many organs like liver, skin, pancreas, and heart and spleen. Now think about what happens. The iron damages these organs. Liver develops cirrhosis. Pancreas become fibrous, leading to diabetes. The skin becomes bronze pigmentation, and this combined give rise to famous term that bronze diabetes. This is the favorite university exam question. Finally, we will do the rapid revision, that the total body iron is 3 to 5 grams. About 70% of hemoglobin is present in the hemoglobin, and 5% present in myoglobin. Iron functions that oxygen transport, oxygen storage, electron transport chain, immunity. Absorption is in the duodenum and upper jejunum, and Fe plus 2 absorbed better than Fe plus 3. Vitamin C is the increases the absorption. Mucosal block theory is the iron homeostasis is controlled by absorption, not excretion. Transport protein is transferrin. Storage protein is ferritin. Excess storage is hemosiderin, and iron deficiency anemia causes the microcytic hypochromic anemia. Iron deficiency causes another disorders that we will see, and iron overload disorders, hemosiderosis, hemochromatosis. And here we completed the iron topic. If this lecture helped you to understand the concept instead of memorizing it, subscribe, because we are completing the other topics also. Thank you.